Today with us we have Alexandre Zein, an innovative and young, talented architect coming from Lebanon. Hello, Alexander.
Hello, how are you?
We're delighted to have you here in New York. We love brilliant new faces.
Thank you.
So can you tell us about your vision and your experience here in New York so far?
First, it's such a pleasure for me to be here in New York City. It's a wonderful city, and they call it like the capital of the world. And so I'm delighted to be here. And you know, when you just look at the skyline, you get to see this whole time frame that starts from the 19th century, where you get to see those ingredients of multiple ingredients from different time frames. Like when you get to see like a building built in the 19th century, and then next to it you get to see a building recently built. That's very phenomenal. So when you start seeing these extruded chateaus, like they started from the 19th century, and then in the 1916s when they put these rules and regulations when you have to just set back as you go up. So you see those pyramid shaped towers. And then you had this the modern era where we have a handful of modern towers, and then recently, of course, we have the postmodernism when they started to add like a pyramid, and recently we have like such great, beautiful designs made by great architects all around, like the recent works. So what really makes New York also so special is the fact also that it has faced a lot of transformations and conversions in terms of its infrastructure. So sometimes you see a High Line that used to be a train track that was turned into a public park and a public promenade. That's very interesting and it's substantial. And some piers, like the Ro piers, were turned into public parks. So it's really interesting to see that like a city that is facing a lot of constant transformations and changes. It's phenomenal.
Building in New York City is a dream for you. So as an emerging architect, what would be your addendum to those ingredients you mentioned?
Well, of course, every architect's dream is to build a major project in New York City. And of course, all these great star architects have already left their marks there. But I believe that whenever you want to build in New York, you have to bring something new. I mean, if you get to build all these conventional random projects, you wouldn't be giving any added value to the city. I mean, it's pointless. So I think it's important, first of all, to design sustainably, because in New York, 30% of the greenhouse gas emission is actually coming from architecture and buildings. So all architects need to have this responsibility towards their planets, So whenever you need to design, first you have to design sustainably, and of course you have to come differently, because we all got used to the same repetitive parameters. They're repeating themselves. They're like simultaneously repeating themselves. So it's really important to not only design sustainably and to turn into carbon zero, but also to give something that New York have never yet seen. So that's one important phenomenon.
So in this case, how do you imagine the future of New York City, best case scenario, to solve this issue partially or globally?
Yeah, so I can imagine that, like I said, that what makes New York like what it is the fact that it faced a lot of transformations and conversions. So the way I see it, that a city like New York, it influences each and every city around the world. So you make it here, you make it everywhere.
Right,
so that's the great slogan. So it's really important for the city to do this conversion and transformations into carbon zero. So it's not so difficult to do that,
Right.
So in a city like New York, there needs to be a paradigm shift. In terms of its sustainable future. Like whenever you want to build a building here, new building, you have to be sustainable.
Right.
You have to be like, it has to be sustainable, and all the existing buildings can actually be converted and transformed into carbon zero. But of course, as architects, we do our role in our jobs. As architects, we design sustainably. We create the ideas. We try to maybe approach new like parameters to make sure that the building is sustainable, it's carbon zero. But I think that the problem is pretty much more holistic and inclusive, in a way that leaders around the world need to take action and expedite. because in 2050 the global greenhouse gas emission is expected to exceed the 50%. So, and it's very dangerous, you know.
Right, yeah.
So you just can imagine, like in 100 years or 50 years, our grandchildren, the next generations, they're gonna look back and they're gonna say, "Oh boy, these people, they messed up tremendously."
They messed up bad.
Yeah, I mean, just like you right now, when you look back 100 years, you can say, how could these people live without, for example, an air conditioner? How were they able to live without a microwave, etc.?
Yeah.
So these people, they're going to look back and they're going to say that we messed up. But the good news is that we are able to change that.
Right.
We have the power, enough power as architects to design the future we want to live in. So that's what makes us, this is our role as architects, is to approach new ideas. So we have the power to do it. I mean, leaders have the power to do it, and we have enough technology for that. And we were able to solve the global problem, like the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
We all took the same measurements. We followed the same regulations to do that. And with the vaccines, we were able to win this. We won. We were able to make it. We made it.
Like you said, it starts from within. I'm sure many companies here in New York have already set in stone their plans for sustainability in the future.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I've seen a lot of companies that are really serious about it, and they're putting like strategies for it. Like if you take, for example, National Facilities Direct, they already put like strategies forth, like distinct strategies that will allow them to give this sustainable output and durable output, not only in their management facilities or just maintenance, but also when you're executing a project, they make sure that they deliver a sustainable and durable project, and that's fundamental. So imagine that each and every company here in New York, they're like doing the same thing like NFT. So we're gonna be like a step forward to put an end to a global problem.
Well, thank you, Alexander. That was a wonderful talk. We're excited to see the new brilliant ideas you have in store for us.